Whey protein is one of those things everyone thinks they understand, but most people are actually using wrong. And that's not me being dramatic, it's just the truth. You've got the crowd who swear whey is magic and can replace real food entirely, and then you've got the whole food purists who act like whey is some sort of processed poison. The reality, it sits somewhere in the middle, and when you understand how to use it instead of just why, you start to see why so many people swear by it for strength, recovery, and just genuinely feeling better after training. So in this video, I want to walk you through the whole thing start to finish. What whey actually does, when it works best, what the science says, why some people get more out of it than others, and whether you should be using concentrate, isolate, or even essential amino acids alongside it. It's going to flow like a proper conversation, not a lecture, and by the end, you'll know exactly how to make whey protein work for your lifestyle, instead of just drinking random shakes because some influencer said it's good for gains. Let's get into it. The first thing I want you to understand is this: whey protein isn't a food replacement. It's not chicken in powder form. It's not meant to be. It's a tool. It's an ergogenic aid. It's one of the closest things to a performance enhancer that you can legally buy without needing a prescription. And I don't say that lightly. When you look at the research, you start to see why. There was a classic study titled Differential Effects of Whey, Casein and Soy Protein on Muscle Protein Synthesis in Older Men, published in the Journal of Nutrition. What I like about this study is it didn't just compare protein amounts, they matched the doses so the essential amino acids content was equal, meaning each group had the same building blocks to work with. Even with that, whey protein still produced a significantly higher rise in muscle protein synthesis compared to soy and casein. And this wasn't in bodybuilders, these were older adults who actually responded slower to protein anyway. So when whey outperforms even the difficult to stimulate population, you know there's something going on beyond just its protein. Now, the interesting part of that study wasn't just how much muscle protein synthesis increased, but how fast. Whey acts quickly. It's like flipping a switch. Your amino acid levels rise rapidly, you get that leucine spike, and the whole machinery for recovery kicks into gear. Casein is slow, soy is inconsistent, but whey is telling your muscles, alright, wake up, time to repair. And that fast spike matters more than people think. For years, fitness magazines pushed the whole constant drip of protein throughout the day idea, usually to promote casein before bed, but the science doesn't really support that long, slow release being better for actually building muscle. What seems to matter most is hitting that threshold, getting enough essential amino acids in one moment for your body to go, okay, we've got what we need. And that brings us to probably the most misunderstood part of whey protein, leucine. Leucine is the star of the show. It's not only the amino acid that matters, of course they all have roles, but leucine is a signal. It's the key in the ignition, and whey is naturally high in leucine in a way that soy and casein simply aren't. There's a brilliant PubMed study titled Leucine Regulates Translation, Initiation of Protein Synthesis in Skeletal Muscle After Exercise, published in the Journal of Applied Physiology. It showed how leucine activates the mTOR pathway and phosphorylates proteins like S6K1, which is basically the biochemical start button for growing and repairing muscle. But more importantly, the study demonstrated that leucine doesn't just provide the building blocks, it tells your body to actually use the building blocks. That's why a scoop of whey can do more for muscle recovery than a steak of the same protein content. Steak gives you the bricks, whey gives you the bricks and the builder. Now, let's talk about something people almost never consider. The insulin response. Whey protein spikes insulin more than almost any other protein source, and before you panic, because insulin gets this negative reputation online, remember something important. Insulin is anabolic. Insulin helps drive amino acids into muscle. A lot of people talk about wanting a clean protein, which usually means they fear insulin spikes, but when you're training hard, recovering, lifting, or even just increasing your daily protein intake, insulin is your ally. The reason whey is so effective post-workout isn't just because it digests quickly, it's because it triggers an appropriate insulin response that helps shuttle everything where it needs to go. That's something soy simply doesn't match. So now let's clear up the isolate versus concentrate debate. People get so emotional about this, like you're arguing politics. The truth is, both have strengths. Whey concentrate is a more complete product. It contains a bit more fat, a bit more lactose, some immunoglobulins and bioactive peptides that some people believe have extra benefits beyond muscle growth. The protein digestibility corrected amino acid score for concentrate is extremely high, and humans absorb it very well, For everyday use, especially if you care about overall nutrition rather than squeezing out every last performance advantage, concentrate is amazing. But isolate, that's the laser focused version. Lower fat, lower carbs, usually around 90% protein per scoop. If you're sensitive to lactose, isolate is a better choice. If you want the sharpest, cleanest amino acid spike, isolate is also the better choice. And if you're timing protein around your workouts and want something that hits your system fast and directly, isolate is the move. But here's the truth you'll never hear from supplement companies, because they want you to be loyal to one product. Rotate them. A lot of people swear Whey stops working after a few months. It doesn't. What usually happens is your routine becomes predictable. If you rotate concentrate and isolate, you get the benefits, both the broader nutrient profile of concentrate and the rapid spike of isolate when it matters most. Now, I really want to bring up a second study here because it really backs this up. This one's titled Whey Protein but Not Soy Protein Supplementation Alters Body Composition and Improves Muscle Strength in Young Adults, published in Journal of American College of Nutrition. And what's interesting is that both groups were resistance training. Both were consuming roughly the same calories, the same amount of protein, and yet the Whey group gained significantly more lean mass and improved strength to a greater degree than the soy group. Once again, same calories, same training, same protein content. The only difference was the source. That's why I always tell people, if you're going to invest in one supplement, choose one that's actually backed by consistent research. Whey has more human data supporting it than pretty much any fitness supplement in existence. Now let's move into the timing conversations, because this is where people tend to overcomplicate things. You don't need to sprint to your shaker bottle within 37 seconds of your last rep like the old bodybuilding magazines told you, but, and this is important, there's a window where your muscles are more receptive. Not a tiny window where you'll miss your gains if you blink, but a general period where giving your body something fast digesting really does help. That period is roughly 1 to 2 hours after training. Within that range, a Whey shake maximizes the natural spike in amino acids. But here's something a lot of people miss. Having Whey before training can be just as effective as having it after. There's a PubMed study titled Timing of Protein Intake Does Not Influence the Adaptation to Resistance Training, published in the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition. It basically showed that as long as your protein intake is sufficient and spaced out properly throughout the day, the exact minute you consume Whey isn't the holy grail everyone thinks it is. What matters is hitting an optimal dose of essential amino acids around your training period, pre, post or both. And that brings us perfectly to EAAs. Essential amino acids are like the cheat code version of protein, not a replacement. You still need whole food and actual protein, but an enhancer. EAAs require no digestion, they go straight to work, and when you pair EAAs with whole food meals or even with Whey, you get a larger spike in muscle protein synthesis. There's actually research supporting this, including studies showing that EAAs can help maintain muscle during calorie deficits, reduce muscle breakdown, and improve training output. But here's the key, and I want to say this clearly. EAAs are not a substitute for a full protein source, but they're more like an amplifier. Using them alongside Whey can help you get more out of the protein you're already consuming. So let's get practical now. Let's say you're someone who trains in the morning. One of the best things you can do is have a scoop of isolate before your session, simply because it starts digesting immediately. You don't need a full meal, you don't need carbs, you don't need to complicate it. You get that clean amino acid elevation during the exact window you're training. Then after training, you can choose either another scoop or a whole food meal with protein. If you train in the evening, the idea is the same. Get something quickly absorbed around your training, then follow it up with something substantial. If you're in a calorie deficit, Whey becomes even more important. And this is where a lot of people, especially beginners, actually feel the biggest difference. High quality protein helps manage hunger, stabilize energy, and maintains less mass when you're eating less. And that's the thing, I want people to walk away with Whey isn't magic, but it's incredibly useful. It doesn't replace real food, but it fills the gaps in a way no whole food source can match. It isn't processed junk, it's literally the byproduct of cheese production. It's as natural as yogurt or butter, but because it's refined, you get a tool that acts faster than any food ever could. If you're someone who wants to train harder, recover faster, maintain muscle in a deficit, or make hitting your daily protein target easier, Whey protein is one of the simplest, most effective additions you can make. Don't overthink it. Don't let the internet confuse you. Thanks for watching this video. Remember to like, share and subscribe, drop a comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.